What's going on, guys? It's the Chinist. Today is Wednesday, October 4th, New Comic Book Day. I have my haul here of 24 with 23 different titles from my two different LCSs that I typically go to. So, kicking it off, we have Dark Knight's Batman the Dawnbreaker. So these are the one-shots that are tied into the current Dark Knight's title that's going on right now. Great stuff, man. So first off, we had the Red Death, where Batman, kind of took over or absorbed that world's Flash. And then we had the War Machine, where he became Cyborg, in a sense. And, that's been the weakest one so far. I think the Red Death was far better. I enjoy Flash, far more than Cyborg, so maybe a little bit more biased. But I thought that storyline dialogue was better. So anyways, so this is going to be, to where he picks up Green Lantern's power. He gets a ring somehow. I was kind of curious if they're going to do, the true Green Lantern of whichever universe this Batman is from, or if they were going to do that, that Jessica Cruz, that Infection, Green Lantern type of knockoff that came from another parallel universe. So yeah, cool stuff. If you have not picked up the one-shots yet, pick them up. Red Death was awesome. Pick that one up first. Okay, so continuing on with the metal tie-in going on right now. So I picked up the let's see, we had the Teen Titans tie-in, and as well as Nightwing. Both were great. I typically do not pick up the tie-ins normally, but man, all these tie-ins have been pretty good. All goes back to the main storyline here of Metal. Great stuff. You have the Laughing Batman here. He's going to be a brand new, villain. He's going to be one of those. It's like super powerful. He's going to, I'm sure we're going to defeat him here somehow, some way. But man, he'll be in the arsenal to come back at some point in the future. Great character, man. So yeah, cool stuff. If you are picking up Metal, I definitely recommend to pick up all the tie-ins right now. And I normally would not suggest that, but man, this one's been pretty good. So yeah. All right. Weed Magic. So yeah, I saw this one in previews. This had like a little one-by-one advertisement. Pre-ordered this one for sure. I wish I would have gotten more than one copy, because apparently this became kind of popular and it sold out, pretty quick. Thought that the sell price of $4.20 was hilarious, man. I was like, oh man, good idea. So yeah, so I'm over in Texas. Texas by far will be the absolute last state to legalize any type of recreational anything. We're so conservative over here. How disappointing. So yeah, anyway, so this sounded kind of cool. Just it's like a one-shot little stoner type of storyline. So yeah, Weed Magic. Alright, next up, Malefic. So, number one, I thought was freaking phenomenal. So, picked it up, kind of thumbed through. The owner of the LCS actually did not recommend this to me, which I was surprised after I read it. Apparently he didn't, let's get this part, he didn't really like it that much. Well, totally surprising to me. So the black and white art, at first sort of thumbed through, a little bit off-putting for, to me. I really prefer color, but man, as I got into this, that number one, man, phenomenal. So I give this artwork like a 4.5 out of 5 in my opinion, especially when it's with the storyline. And the storyline, I give a 5 out of 5. So this is kind of supernatural. It's not like all psycho, mental, type of storyline like I thought it was. So this is kind of like, like a haunting possession, type of witch, kind of screwing with your mind type of deal. So like Conjuring 2, type of storyline. Number one seemed awesome. So I definitely subscribe to this one. Number one is still out there. It did not sell out. So if you're looking for some, horror, dark side, supernatural, check out number one, Malefic. All right, Venomverse. This is getting mixed reviews, by far. So I did pick up a variant. This is not a store incentive. I think this is cover C, I think. Anyways, I thought this was the best cover out there. So yeah, pretty cool storyline. Again, it's the symbiotes. It's the white versus the black. The black are the good guys in this sense. And, the white is kind of, they're equal in power. Plus they have like this little zombie touch, effect to where if the white touches the black becomes white. So, the black has been struggling for quite some time. They've been failing. So the masterminds, which was, I think, Doctor Strange and someone else of this parallel universe, hey, let's go recruit, the strongest of the strong, let's, reach out. And that's what Captain America was doing when you saw the symbiote Captain America in Edge of Venomverse, where he was kind of recruiting some of these people to help fight this war that was going on. So yeah, man, cool stuff. A little side story. This, I'm sure it's not going to go that long, but pretty cool side story in my opinion. All right, XMen Gold. So as I've said before, I got back into the X-Men Blue, Gold, and Astonishing. Love them all, man. So if you've been kind of waiting to kind of jump into the X world, man, now's the time, in my opinion. So, you have existing characters, but there's new characters that are kind of coming on board. There's a lot of exposition to let you know what the history was of these previous characters. If you're just kind of getting into it, man, they're really doing a very good job on all three titles right now, in my opinion. So this one kind of continues the Mojo storyline. Of course, Mojo came from another world, and he kind of collects people from across dimensions in order to appear on his TV show. And his world kind of operates around celebrities, TV shows, things of that nature. So way back in the day, he kind of kidnapped the X-Men to fight, and that's actually where Longshot came into play. Was during a previous Mojo storyline back in the mid-90s, early 90s. So yeah, cool stuff. Again, if you're into X-Men, check this one out, Blue, Gold, and Astonishing. So on that note, Astonishing X-Men number 4. Cool stuff. So Astonishing X-Men is really, more of like a 90s X-Men feel to it. Action, dialogue, everything, man. Great stuff. So here you have, so you see Charles Xavier came back, only his mental, side of things. And, at this point in time, this is more the mental plane, the ethereal plane. And we have the Shadow King kind of controlling, the minds of a couple people. So yeah, man, cool storyline, cool stuff, man. Very reminiscent of, the older storylines, but if you just want to jump in, man, it's, all the action's there and enough exposition to figure out what's going on. So yeah, Astonishing X-Men. All right, Avengers. So I picked up Avengers when they kind of kicked it off again, where Alex Ross was doing both the colors, the covers and the interior artwork. Man, I really wasn't a fan of the interior artwork. It was, in my opinion, kind of hard to follow the storyline, and the storyline really wasn't there. So I think I collected Avengers like 1 through 7, and I kind of dropped the title. So this one kind of crosses back over now. So they continued the previous numbering of Avengers. So they stopped at the previous line, and they picked up where they left Avengers off, and I don't know how many years ago that was now, but all part of the legacy push that Marvel's doing right now. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. And again, I love the Avengers team. I do love. It was just the storylines I just really wasn't a fan of. And of course, I love Champions. Right now I love Teen Titans more than Champions, but I love all the characters of Champions. I still pick it up ongoing. So yeah, pretty cool. They're doing a crossover here, Champions and Avengers. So yeah, arc number 1. I'm going to pick up this all the way through, just due to the crossover. All right, next up we have a crossover. We have Harley with Ivy, along with the Archie side of Betty Veronica. So this is more just pure speculation. I'm not going to be picking this one up ongoing at all, but I thought this cover was the best cover that was out there. I think the LCS had like 4 different covers, but I don't think any of them were incentive variants. So yeah, again, I'm not really into any of the characters here. This is really more of a speculation buy than anything else. So yeah. All right, next up, Batman White Knight. And, on that speculation note, I was on the fence if I was going to pick up multiple ones, multiple copies of this one. So I just went with one. I did not pick up any spec buys on this one. So yeah, pretty cool concept. Roles kind of reverse. Batman is kind of a bad guy, and the Joker is a good guy. And, I would assume that this would have happened, at some point in time in some previous storyline or something. I would assume this is not a new concept, but I did enjoy the artwork. There's a little bit different storyline from the other Batman stuff, and man, this one looked pretty good, man, just kind of thumbing through it at the LCS. So yeah, man, after I read this one, if I really enjoy it, I may go pick up another copy of, a few more copies of number 1. So yeah, Batman White Knight. Okay guys, so next up we have Eugenic, and this one was completely off of my radar. I don't recall reading this one in previews or hearing about this or anything, but the owner of the LCS did recommend this one for me, just knowing like different stuff. So, I just kind of thumbed through, and I did kind of breeze over this little preface here. And, so basically there's been some sort of like huge virus that's, broken out. It started in the South, somewhere in Mississippi. And, it decimated the human population somehow. And apparently this virus started changing the DNA of the humans. So you have this baby that you saw on the front cover, being the first baby to be born that kind of is a mutant. So not really sure, if this is going to be evil or where this goes. Maybe, I don't know if it's, so here's a baby that was born. Not really sure if it's going to be powers or, what's going on here. But yeah, it sounded kind of cool. It's kind of different. So I want to read through the first one, kind of see where it goes, and see if I'm going to pick this one up in ongoing or not. Okay, next up we had Batman number 32. So I believe this is the conclusion of the War Jokes and Riddles. I was not really a fan. I picked up like number 1 and 2, and I stopped picking up that series. I just was not a fan. But this is where Bruce Wayne is going to get, he proposed to Selina, Catwoman, and I think that was like, man, it was a while back. Maybe issue number 27, 28? I think it was a while back. And this is where you get her answer. So yeah, so again, a conclusion of the current story arc, and the answer to what's going to happen with, she's going to say yes or no. More speculation than anything else. I'm going to thumb through it and see what the answer is first though. So next up we have The Tick. Man, I fell in love with The Tick cartoon show. I never really picked up the comics, to tell you the truth. But I was a huge fan of the cartoon show. They came out with live action where that guy, Putty, who played Putty on Seinfeld, he was the main star. Man, I thought it was kind of funny, but man, they changed up like a lot of things from the comic, and I'm not sure why they did, but the changes just did not work in my opinion. So, getting back to the original stuff, man, great stuff. So the original is actually in black and white. So pretty happy that this, I don't know if they're trying to reboot this or what's going on here, but happy to see this in color, to tell you the truth. So this was like a small publisher. So New England Comic Press, yeah, never heard of them. So yeah, The Tick. For those of y'all who like The Tick, and I found this like in a tiny little cell in preview. So I don't think many LCS picked this one up. Okay, next up we have Darth Vader, issue number 6. So this one is going to focus on the Conquistador. I'm sorry, the Inquisitor. The Inquisitor. And of course, this is a character that was introduced in the Star Wars Rebels cartoon animated show. So man, that show is awesome. You got to kind of get past the CGI, because it's kind of like that smooth, look for the CGI characters, which they're trying to appeal to the younger crowd. But get past that the animation, and the storylines are, man, they are phenomenal in my opinion. So the Inquisitor was one of those to where he wasn't a Jedi, and I think some of them had Force abilities, some of them did not. But, they're kind of used to hunt out the very, very last Jedi and Padawans, or kind of like left over after Order 66, and while, Darth Vader was Darth Vader. So cool stuff. You kind of get like a little bit more origin story. You did not get too much backfill in the animated show, and he did, die in the animated show after like 1 complete season. I think he finally died, but you never really got too much backstory. So they're going to cover his backstory here in this comic. So yeah, cool character, man. So yeah, Darth Vader. Okay, next up on the Star Wars line, we have Star Wars number 37. Last few have been pretty good. That last one, I believe, is where it's kind of based around R2-D2, the droid storyline. I did not think it was going to be very good. Man, that was an excellent storyline. I was pretty surprised how good that was. So yeah, man, Star Wars, every now and again, a little bit of hit or miss, a little bit slow from time to time, but overall, man, great title in my opinion. So yeah, cool stuff, Star Wars. Check it out. If you are a Star Wars fan, you really need to try to check out a few of these trades. Alright, so next up we have Savage Things, and I think I've said before in the past, this is really the only Vertigo title that I actually enjoy. There's a lot of other Vertigo titles I picked up that I did not really like too much. So this is also by Justin Jordan, which, man, I think he's a phenomenal, comic book writer, in that superhero genre. Man, I think he kills it, man. But yeah, so this one is a little bit more, this is all like CIA, Jason Bourne type of team-based stuff. You have some children who are kidnapped. They went through this program. They've grown up, and things kind of went south. You have the government / the private facility that raised these kids who are hunting them down, and you also have some betrayal within the ranks as well. So so everyone's perfect gun user, knife user, hand-to-hand combat. Man, this is some pretty cool action, pretty cool twist, pretty cool dialogue. Man, check this one out if you're looking for other action. Savage things. All right, so next up we have Regression. Cool stuff. This is a little bit of the darker, supernatural side of things. You have this guy who went into a regression hypnotic therapy. And after he went through that therapy, he just kind of sees weird things just all over the place. And as the storyline goes, you kind of find out, it was always in him. I don't know if that just kind of unlocked it, but it may have always, he was heading this direction. Just weird stuff going on here. So if you're looking for the weird type of stuff, man, this is it. So man, cool spread right here. Regression. All right, Justice League. So this is not the conclusion. I think this may be maybe 5 of 6 of the Legacy story arc by Brian Hitch, and this is going to be his last story arc, and he's going to be off of Justice League after this. And man, this may be his absolute best story arc that he's done. So I think he is going to finish it on a bang. So you have the kids of the Justice League that came from the future back into the past, trying to correct what happens, and there's some event, some phenomenon that kind of occurs. You don't know what's going on, but you do find out that they tried to assassinate one of the Justice League members, and that was their whole plan of coming back into the past. So yeah, pretty cool storyline, so far. I really want to know what the hell happened, what was the thing that kind of made their universe, which you assume is this Earth, why did it go south? So yeah, cool stuff. Everyone has superpowers, everyone's fighting, awesome stuff. I wish Justice League has been like this from issues 1 through 27. All right, next up, Star Wars Captain Phasma. So this was kind of a surprise hit to me. I thought she was kind of a cool character, but again, in the movie they did not use her very well at all. Man, just horrible. And this is pretty cool, man. She's super intelligent. She's always 5 steps ahead of everyone else. And man, this comic really hits it as far as who she is and who she, why she is, and how intelligent and quick-witted she is. Cool stuff, man. So if you enjoyed, Rogue One, I'm sorry, if you enjoyed The Force Awakens, check this one out. If you thought that she was kind of okay character, really check this one out, in my opinion. So yeah, Captain Phasma. Okay, next up we have Extremity. Cool stuff. So this is a post-apocalyptic type of world. And you have warring communities. They kind of set up kind of like a Mad Max scenario. And I guess with a little steampunk kind of mixed into it in a sense. Cool stuff. At first I didn't like the artwork, but the artwork really does complement the storyline that's going on here. So this whole storyline is really a storyline about revenge. That revenge is really driving this whole story arc here. A lot of violence and a lot of revenge, for retribution. So man, as you can see here, cool stuff. Check it out. Extremity. Okay, next up, Atari Centipede number 3. So I was really on the fence, after number 2. This is going to be the last shot that I give this story arc here. So this Atari storyline is a little bit different to where, the video game, is real life. So you have this huge centipede who's invading Earth, or the species of alien centipedes kind of invading Earth, and what they're kind of going through to defend. So kind of just okay right now. So I'm going to kind of get through this one, see if I enjoy it or not. I may be dropping it. Centipede. Okay, next up, Cannibal. So this is issue number 8, and I believe this ties up the second story arc here. So you find out in the very last issue that it was kind of a slow burn to find out how the characters are intertwined and who knows who, and kind of what happened, because it kind of rebuild the past a little bit here as you go along in this in these issues. So you do find out there's a trio of the main characters, and one of them is infected, And so now it's the decision of what do we do with this infected person, because there is no cure. It's you're not a zombie, but you can't control eating the flesh of another human at this point in time if you are infected with this cannibal virus or something that's going on right now. So yeah, man, cool stuff. If you're into zombies, check this one out. But this one, a little bit more intricate in the character development, in my opinion, than the other straight up zombie storylines. Okay, last up was my only real spec buy, which was Slotz. So this one sounded pretty cool. I did not pre-order this one, but when I read they gave a preview in a few of these comics that came out recently and I guess I recognize this. So they gave a preview of the first like 2 or 3 pages. So, this kind of had like, whoever was the artist for The Fix, I felt it kind of had like that type of feel to it, mixed with Cannibal that we just kind of saw as well. So this guy, I don't know what's going on with this guy, but I guess he has like this car, and he had like X amount of keys, and I guess he's living day to day, and like once the keys were gone, something happened. So I don't know if he's going to kill himself or what was going on, but man, this sounded pretty intriguing to me. Enough to pick up a number 1 to see if we're going to go on to a number 2 or not. But man, I thought the artwork looked pretty cool in this one. Maybe like a 4.25 out of 5. So yeah, Slotz. We'll see if this one is intriguing or not. So that's going to be it for this week's brand new haul, guys. Should you like what you see here, please like and subscribe. Talk to you later.